Okay, got it. Okay, cool. Give me 1 second. Get the vibes right in here. See, we got a few people joining. Got to get the vibes right. Got to get the vibes right, right? All right, give me a second. What the hell is this? Championship Sunday. Okay. All right, let's get it. Let's get it, bro. Let's get it. So, yo, man, listen, as we always say, man, it's your boy JT. I got Dub with me. Together, we make the Any Arena crew. Listen, we love sports. We both play football. Rick was a track star extraordinaire in college. Wouldn't say all that. I was decent. I wouldn't say all that, though. But that's why we do this, man. We just love sports. We love talking about sports, especially football. We do a little boxing, we do a little bodybuilding, we do a little basketball and everything else as well. But our core is football. That's what got us started. And that's what we're here to talk about today, man. We got a big slate of big games today. It's going to be crazy. We got the NFC Championship with the Philadelphia Eagles and San Francisco 49ers kicking off at 3 p.m. And then we got the Cincinnati Bengals, Who Dey Nation heading in the Burrowhead. Take things over to go 4-0 and, make it do what it do when it comes down to the AFC Championship. And that's kicking off at 6:30 Eastern. Okay. Before we get into any of that, man, we just want to talk about sports in general, talk about what's going on in the NFL. So the first thing we want to just chop it up on is just the black culture struggles, man. Like, we saw what happened with the Carolina Panthers and Steve Wilkes. So I just want to get your take on it, Dub. Like, did they do Steve Wilkes wrong? What's the deal? What's your thoughts on what happened there with that? Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, most Carolina Panthers fans, we're from Charlotte, so by default we are Panthers fans. Even though I like the New England Patriots, I still root for the Panthers. I mean, everyone was pulling for Steve Wilkes, Charlotte native, went to West Charlotte High School, coached the Carolina Panthers in the 2015 Super Bowl with Cam Newton and Ron Rivera. So he does have that championship pedigree in him, but fans had this expectation of Steve Wilkes getting the job. He earned it, essentially, right? But if you take a step back and actually look at Steve Wilkes as a coach in his entirety, his career, now I hate that we have to put these parameters around black coaches, right? Because our counterparts may not have to go through that same experience, and maybe they do. I don't know. I just can speak from the black perspective and how we feel about certain situations. But to put things into context, Steve Wilkes was the head coach at Savannah State back in 2000. Well, sorry, actually 1999, right? So that's quite some time ago. But he went 5-6 as a head coach, right? He only had one season to be the head coach. Not a lot of time to build out a program in 1 year, right? And then we got the Arizona Cardinals in 2018, I think, where they went 13 and 3-13.
Right.
Good record, but he only had one season with the Cardinals, and at that time, they really didn't necessarily have a good roster. I think they might have had Josh Rosen at that time as well, so just not a good roster. And then subsequently, recently, Carolina Panthers, where he took the interim coaching job and ended up with a 6-6 record with a pretty horrible roster on the offensive side. And so he only had one partial season with the Panthers. So you look at Steve Wilkes and the opportunities that he's had, it's only been for a short period of time. So the guy has not been able to put a comprehensive body of work together to actually make it justifiable for him to not get the job, right? So I
Yeah.
think if the Carolina Panthers would have given him the opportunity to be the head coach, then I think he could have done something with that. But let's just take a step back and look at Frank Wright and his record. I mean, he was with the Indianapolis Colts, right? His first season there in 2018, he went 10-3. They made it to the playoffs. They lost. The next season, they went 7-9. Not good, not 500. Then he went 11-5, 9-8, and then he went 13-5 before he got fired. And they brought in Jeff Saturday, fresh out of the ESPN studio, to take on the head coaching spot, right? So when you look at a situation like that, and now he's being afforded the opportunity to coach the Carolina Panthers, it's like, man, when will some black coaches actually get the opportunity, right? Like the Mike Tomlins of the world,
Jim Caldwell, haven't heard about him. The guy had a above a 500 record in Detroit when he was the head coach, and he's not getting opportunities. So when is the line in the sand drawn for black coaches to actually get viable opportunities to build out a team and actually win?
Yeah, I think, and I agree with you. I think it's crazy that we having this discussion. I think African American ADOS players make up about 70% of the NFL. In terms of ownership, there's one owner in the NFL that's of a diverse background. That's the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And from a culture perspective, we see that as being something that continues to be like an issue when it comes down to diversity in coaching. But if we were to talk about just, you know, what we feel as far as who are those coaches that deserve an opportunity right now, I know I got a couple guys on my list. Would definitely like to hear what your list is. But I
Okay.
think you got to look at like a D'Amico Ryans, who's a defensive coordinator right now for the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to talk a little later about the 49ers and their potential keys to winning their game today. But D'Amico Ryans has done a great job with their defense up until this point. Eric Bieniemy, offensive coordinator with the Chiefs, we've seen him get interviews over the past couple of years, not get any opportunities to be a head coach. But the Chiefs have played in the AFC Championship for 5 straight years and have one of the most prolific offensive attacks in the NFL. Um, as it stands right now, the only team that might be able to compete with that in terms of weapons and just how they show up every week are the Cincinnati Bengals. I would also say maybe, again, we talked about Steve Wilkes, but I would also say Byron Leftwich. I think Byron Leftwich this year had a tough season. But again, we gotta look at
I don't know,
how
man.
I think the big thing we got to look at is just how Tampa Bay was constructed. I think a lot of
Mhm.
people thought bringing in Tom Brady automatically makes you a Super Bowl contender because at one point it did, and that point was not too long ago. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, bringing in Tom Brady to any team automatically made you a Super Bowl contender. But what
Mhm.
we got to look at right now is the simple fact that Father Time catches up with everybody. So Tom Brady does not make you a Super Bowl contender anymore. We found that out this year. And even though, they had Mike Evans, who is a guy that I think will be a Hall of Famer, puts up 1,000 yards consistently, who's in the end zone consistently. At the end of the day, Godwin was hurt, and Leonard Fournette should not be your primary attack coming out of the backfield. I mean, if anything, Leonard Fournette is a good third down back at best, in my opinion. No disrespect. Leonard's been a great player, done a lot of great things at the college level. But I think that's just a reality of where Leonard Fournette is today. So Byron Leftwich would be another guy on my list. Any thoughts on anybody on your list that was not on that list that I just called out?
Well, I tell you what, Brian Leftwich is definitely not on my menu of coaches to select from to have a head coaching position. Out of all those individuals that you mentioned, again, I mentioned Jim Caldwell, right? He may be older in age, but I mean, the proof is in the pudding. He's been a part of a championship team with the Indianapolis Colts with Tony Dungy. So, again, championship pedigree. He took the sorry Lions and still made them a competitive team, even though the resources were not put around him to be successful. And so, for him not to even have another opportunity to be a head coach, I haven't even heard his name being mentioned in any of the discussions or rumblings around the league. So,
For
I don't
sure.
know. It's very interesting to see that, and those are just the two that really stand out to me the most. I definitely think Eric Bieniemy is worthy of a head coaching position. One thing that irks me the most about this situation with Eric Bieniemy, he may not be a good interviewer. I don't know. Everyone's not a good interviewer, but there are some people that can get the job done, right?
Right.
So when I look at Eric Bieniemy and I see him calling plays on the sideline, literally calling plays, talking to Patrick Mahomes, but the commentators on the different networks are saying, "Oh, look at the play that Andy Reid called. Look at the in-game adjustments, blah blah blah." I mean, guys, you're not even giving him credit. You're not even giving him credit, and I just think that's a tactic. Eastside Bryce, my guy, Airbnb called plays. We can get on that a little bit later. We can invite you in into the live and we'll have that discussion. But I
Yes,
definitely think
sir.
Airbnb
Yeah.
called
He
plays.
don't call
He's not even
like
sitting there.
Bryce said, and shout out Rado too for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for
But
joining, man.
but like he said, Eric Bieniemy don't call the plays, and I was
Yes, he
gonna cut
does.
you
He's
off.
not just sitting there holding a sheet and not
Listen,
doing nothing.
I think I don't know the exact breakdown of how many plays he's calling versus what Andy Reid's calling, but Andy Reid is calling plays.
He's not calling all the plays,
He's
man.
called. I'm not saying all of them, but he's calling some of the plays. I think collectively, like when it comes to their scheme, I think that both of them are. I think that both of them are, you know, a tandem. I think they're coming up with the scheme together. They're coming up with the game plan for any given week together. I don't think anybody's doing that in a silo. And I'm not saying that to take away from Eric Bieniemy. I think he's a great coach.
And
But
people
like,
are though.
well, I'm not saying that to take away from
You
him
got to give him his just due.
because let me say this: being an offensive coordinator is not just about calling plays. It's about having
Oh,
the
yeah,
right.
absolutely.
It's about having the right formations. It's about having the right personnel in those formations in order for whoever does call the plays to have the people that are the most successful in that situation to win. That's what an offensive coordinator is. You're coordinating. You feel me? So calling the plays is an integral part of that, but it's not the only part of that. So whether he called the plays or not, don't matter because he's putting the pieces in the right spot so that whoever calls the plays, the best people are going to make the play when they're called upon. That's a
Hmm.
harder job than calling the plays because again, you got the playbook, whatever like that. So I want to give him credit just for putting those pieces in play. I'm sure he has a say so in who they draft and who they bring into this system that they've got is flowing so well. So I think we got to give him credit for that too, because Pacheco, I said early on in the season, we weren't doing Instagram lives at this time, but I mentioned Pacheco. I mentioned how big of a player he would be to kind of fill a role of a hybrid between what Tyreek Hill does and what we've seen from some other explosive guys in the past on the Chiefs. And I believe that he's done that well. So I do believe that he deserves an opportunity. Will he ever get that in the NFL is yet to be seen.
Hmm. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sorry. If you're the offensive coordinator, you're the offensive coordinator. I understand that Andy Reid is just an offensive guru, right? He's been doing it for so many years. He has a very comprehensive coaching tree. Let's talk a little bit about Andy Reid. I mean, he's been to
Yeah.
5 straight NFC Championship games, and
Yep.
out of those 5, he's only won 1 Super Bowl. Didn't win any Super Bowls in Philly. So is it safe to say that Andy Reid is kind of overhyped in a sense?
No,
He,
it's not. It's not
he
safe to
can't
say
close
that.
out. He
It's
can't
not
close
safe
out.
to listen. It's not safe to say that you even saying that is preposterous. Let's be real for a second. The fact that Andy Reid has been able to turn around the Kansas City Chiefs organization. Listen, bro,
They were already good before Reed got there.
good or great because going to 5 straight AFC championships is great. Is
It
it's it's
is.
it's
It
a
is.
step short of being a
Undeniably, it is.
dynasty.
I agree with that.
If they win the other championship, it would be hard to argue that they weren't a dynasty. The championship they lost to Tom Brady, they win that championship, it would be hard to argue that they're not a dynasty. So
2 out of 5. I don't know, man. It had to be 3 out of 5 for me to be considered a dynasty. Honestly, for me,
listen, I
I
think
look at Bill Belichick and what he did in New England with Tom Brady. That's a dynasty. When the
listen.
Cowboys were actually winning for once in the early '90s, that was a dynasty. They won 3 Super Bowls.
This is
I
what I'm
mean,
gonna tell
I,
you.
I
They
was, I
had
was.
they had
This
this
is my last
argument.
point. This is my last point. I would compare what Andy Reid is doing in Kansas City to be the epitome of what the Buffalo Bills were doing in the early '90s when they went to four
No,
straight Super
they
Bowls.
didn't win any Super Bowls though, and we just talked about him winning one. So how's that
One,
equivalent? They
one
didn't
out,
win
one
any
out of
Super
5.
Bowls. Bro, it's a Super Bowl. You talking about
I
it
get it.
like it's a state championship in high school or
I
something.
get
This
it.
ain't
I
winning a
really
Super
do.
Bowl is not a walk in the park.
It's
And
definitely
and,
not.
and
It's
going to
definitely not.
five straight AFC championships without Tom Brady, because we know Tom Brady to be the GOAT when it comes to this football. Going to 5 straight AFC championships is something to be spoken about as well. Now, okay, you don't win all 5 of those games because you
Mhm.
saying 1 for 5 with Super Bowls, but he didn't. They didn't win all 5 of those AFC championship games, but when we're going to, they're 1 for 2 when it comes to the Super Bowl. So it's 50%.
Okay,
Any
but
owner is taking that.
okay, so Super Bowl wise, they're going to make that 2-5, right? So they won 2 AFC Championship games and been to 2 Super Bowls. Is that correct?
They won how many AFC championships?
Two.
Right. Okay.
They've been to five.
Well, today is the 5th, so they're
Today's
two
the
for
fifth,
four. They're two for four.
which they'll be 2-6 after today. But we'll talk about that a little bit
You mean
later.
2 for 5 today? Today is going to be the 5th.
I'm sorry. Okay, 2 for 5, right? So they're 2 for 4 right now, 50%.
2 for 4. They'll be 2 for 5 around 10 o'clock
They're
tonight.
not a dynasty, but I'm gonna tell you right now, they're going to be 2-5. So they're not beating the Bengals today.
But
Now,
but
now with
again,
the injured Patrick Mahomes.
but this is what I'm telling you, and we'll get on the injury in a second. What I'm telling you is, as of right now, if they won the other championship, they didn't. So
Uh,
so if was a 5th, I get it. But if they won the other championship against Tom Brady, what you would be talking about today is that they went to 4 AFC championships. They won 2 of them. They 50% AFC championships, and they won 2 Super Bowls. And so they 2-0 in the Super Bowl. That's a
okay.
dynasty. That's a dynasty because you can't name another team that's done that in a 5-year span other than your Patriots. You
And
can't name another team.
The Cowboys did it. Those are
No,
dynasties.
I said recently. I ain't talking about 90s.
I,
In the
I think I think I
2000s
think
era,
we utilize these supreme titles for people that don't. We talk about the GOAT, right? The GOAT is the best, like the best. But we keep talking about various people and different. Bro, who's the best? What's a dynasty? What is the definition of a dynasty?
I mean, it's been dynasties going back in history. You talk about the Ming Dynasty or
Okay,
Mansa Musa and dynasties
let's talk
in
about Charlotte.
Mali and
Let's talk
things like
about
that.
Charlotte. Let's talk about Charlotte. Charlotte. So dynasty in Charlotte, independence football. Like in the 2000s, early
I
2000s,
don't want to talk about that.
they could not be stopped. But even the Butler Bulldogs had a run. Like they had a little point where they could be considered a dynasty. Even I think Mallet Creek. Then they went to two
Yeah,
state
yeah,
championships.
Mallet Creek definitely
So
would be a
I
dynasty
mean,
as
we can
well.
argue what the definition of a dynasty is, and I get what you're saying about the Chiefs, right? But I mean, five five straight AFC championship games, one Super Bowl. Come on, man. Not yet.
I said if they would have won it, they would have been a dynasty. They're not a dynasty. I'm not saying that. They
Okay.
are a
Okay.
really
Thank you for the
they
clarification.
they are a great football team
Absolutely.
with a with
Absolutely.
with a great quarterback who has the potential to
Absolutely.
be the best quarterback of all time.
Maybe.
I said the potential. The potential is maybe. Potential is maybe. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
absolutely. But I don't think any. I know. I don't want to say never, but what Tom Brady did, it's an anomaly. It would never have unprecedented. I don't think it will happen again. I'm sorry. I don't think it's going to happen again.
Listen, winning 7 championships might not happen again. But I think at the end of the day, when we look at Patrick Mahomes' stats, when it's all said and done, his stats are going to be better. The only thing is just like when you talk about guys and you talk about like LeBron versus Kobe versus Jordan. You talk about that. It's the same thing, bro. Like Jordan has 6 rings. But when you look at Jordan versus LeBron, honestly, that's the only thing he's got over him. When you like just he's gonna be the all-time leading scorer in NBA history in a
Mhm.
couple days. He's gonna be the
Yeah,
all-time leading scorer. Um, I mean, so it's one of them situations where like if rings is the only thing we're talking about, yeah, nobody will ever surpass Brady. But if we want to talk about it holistically, we want to talk about what they meant to their team, we want to talk about their stats, then Patrick Mahomes, it's the inevitable that he'll pass Brady. It's only a matter of time.
no, absolutely, absolutely. So, do you want to go ahead and touch on the predictions for the Chiefs and Bengals game? Like, kind of dive into it, talk about some of the highlights that we
No,
can.
let's start with the Eagles 49ers since that game is
Okay,
first. Let's
okay.
hop into that first. And I know we had a couple folks join. I don't know if Bryce or anybody was still gonna hop on with us, but we can see. Um, so yeah, Eagles 49ers, we got that at 3 p.m. The big question right now, a couple different things with the game, but storyline for me is like Brock Purdy. So I think it's pretty dope that Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts played each other in college. I know all week we've seen that all over Sports Center. Iowa State playing Oklahoma, 1 point game. Brock Purdy is 7-0 as a starter. So, how do you feel he's going to handle the pressure coming into a AFC, NFC championship? And again, playing against Jalen Hurts, playing against his Eagles defense, and having to pull it all together to try to go 8-0. Going 8-0 as a starter is hard. Let's just say that. So, do you think he has a chance? Do you think he's going to be able to handle that pressure?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you don't go what he's 7-0, right?
7-0.
He cold. I mean, he's cold. I mean, but the thing about it is really the system around him. So
Yeah.
as long as the defense plays well, which I think they've been holding teams to about 18 points per game in the playoffs. So if they continue to do that, and Brock Purdy doesn't throw any interceptions, which he has not done yet in the playoffs, I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah.
When we talk about playoff football, and you got the 49ers that average 144 yards this postseason on the ground, you don't have to do much in the passing game. I mean, collectively as an offensive unit, they've averaged 123 yards per game for these past 2 games. So when you talk about just the talent that they have, at the wideout position, you got Kittle, you got Ayuk, you got Debo, who's the gadget guy. Then you got Christian McCaffrey. Shout out to the Panthers again. You lost the real ones. And then you got Brock Purdy that's just sitting in the pocket, throwing some nice bombs, just taking what the defense gives him. I definitely think that he's going to go 8-0 this week. I think let me take that back. I think the Eagles are going to win. Let me take that back. The Eagles are going to win.
Hold up a second. Hold up a second. Hold up.
Go ahead.
No, you said, so where did the 8-0 come from? For a second, you thought the 49ers were going to win?
I'm sorry. I had to retract my statement.
Okay, I'll let you do that. Okay.
It's an honest mistake. I think the Eagles will win.
Okay.
As long as the Eagles can stop the rushing attack and put pressure on Brock, I think they'll be just fine. Eagles, I mean, they played the Giants the first round. That's not really a reputable opponent in my opinion. When you talk about playoff football, the offense, Daniel Jones don't have any weapons on the outside, so it wasn't like he could throw the ball all over the field. You just got him, and you got Saquon. That's it, right? So.
Right.
They were supposed to blow out the Giants, 38-7, right? So let's just see how they can compete.
Yo, shout out my boy Marcus. I didn't mean to cut you off. He said,
that Project Pat.
Project Pat coming for Eli Apple today. Hey, you see who they in the building now.
We'll get on that in a second. We're gonna
hop on the Chiefs game in a second.
Absolutely.
But
I'll turn it over to you. Let you talk about your thoughts. But I think the Eagles will win. But I do think Brock Purdy does have like the ability to, bask in the moment and actually perform well.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think that the Eagles will win today. I don't think it's going to be a surprise once the game starts. I think we're going to see a team that has played well all season, who once was undefeated for the majority of the season, come out and they're going to dominate. Is what I believe we're going to see. The keys to the Eagles winning today, really Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts had the shoulder injury. He hasn't been 100%. They're gonna need him to be 100% today. He's gonna need to run the ball. He's gonna need to protect the ball when he runs it. And he's gonna need to make effective throws, which he's been able to do all season. Outside of Jalen Hurts, I think it's gonna be winning the turnover battle. So one thing about Brock Purdy that a lot of people are not talking about because simply he's just been on this run of being undefeated. In college, whenever there was a mistake when he was at Iowa State, which he was a starter for several years at Iowa State, was a great player for that team. Whenever there were instances where he would throw an interception, fumble the ball, make a mistake, he couldn't get that out of his head. It would pile up. There would be another turnover, another mistake. And so what the Eagles have to do early is win the battle in the trenches. They got to stop the run. You got to stop the end arounds from Debo. You got to get physical with Christian McCaffrey. You got to take the run out of the game and make them throw the ball. And you got to make the rookie make mistakes. And you got to have him make mistakes early. Yeah. If the Eagles are able to do that, this game could really get away from the 49ers. Because, again,
you really think it could be a blowout?
I didn't say a blowout. I said it could get away from them.
Okay,
I
what
think
is
it.
that? What does that look like to you? Get away.
I think it looks like Bengals Bills last week. If they're able to stop the run or at least slow the run down, you can't give up 6 yards of carry like they did to the Giants. But if they're able to slow that pace down for the 49ers offense and they're able to create turnovers and get Brock Purdy flustered, you know, I think this game could be a game that the Eagles cruise through on their way to a Super Bowl.
Speak.
I think it's very possible because again, this game is going to come down to who makes the most mistakes and who's able to then capitalize off of those mistakes. Right?
Hmm.
This is playoff football. These are the four best teams in the league, and I I don't think it's arguable that any other team should be here right now. These are the four best teams in the league.
I think some of the people that's watching now might beg to differ. You know, I think we got Buffalo Bills fans in the comments, but you know, we talk about taking command of the game. It didn't even look like last week they had a chance.
They didn't.
They didn't even have a
Didn't have
chance.
a chance. And I'm telling
So
you right now, that's the same way that it'll look for the San Francisco 49ers today if the Eagles are able to get physical, to sack Brock Purdy early, to have him making mistakes. Because you think about it, he's a rookie, but if they have to pull him out for whatever reason, if things go south and they had to pull him out of the game, who do they put in the game?
that's a fair point. But I don't see things going awry for the
Listen,
49ers. I don't
listen,
see it
at some
going
point,
awry.
this is all I'm saying. At some point, for every team, you're going to hit a rough patch. The 49ers have won 12 straight games. Brock Purdy is 7-0 as a starter. It's you're not going to keep riding the magic carpet forever. He ain't going to go
Oh no,
49-0.
absolutely,
He ain't going to go
absolutely.
50-0. He's not going to go 10-0. So at some point, it's going to go south. And we're going to have to see how this kid, this rookie, remember, he's a rookie who didn't expect to play this year
The
because
last pick of the NFL draft. The
he was
last pick of
he
NFL
was the
draft.
at the beginning of the season he was the third string quarterback. So
Yeah.
at some point things are going to go south, and we're going to have to see how this kid responds to adversity. And I'm telling you right now, that's going to be today. Today we're going to see how he responds to adversity. Today we're going to see what he's made of. Today we're going to see how he bounces back from taking a big hit, from somebody being physical. And today he's going to end the day at 7-1.
But I think he did that in his first playoff game 2 weeks ago. I think he's comfortable. I think he's kind of callous to the playoff environment. And I understand this is a championship game. It is a little different. The stakes are higher, but I don't foresee him folding under pressure. I just don't.
I know you don't foresee it, but hey,
But the Eagles will
we don't.
win.
Okay, so you got the Eagles winning. If you had to throw a score out there, you think it'd be high scoring, low scoring? What you got?
Well, the 49ers put a 30 burger on. No. They won by 3 points last week against the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, they
Was it
barely
three?
won that.
And then the Eagles won 38-7.
Oh
I
wow.
think we can be looking somewhere in the 20s, like low 20s. So I'm thinking maybe like a 17-21 type of game.
Yeah. I'm taking the Eagles. I'm gonna say Eagles 28, San Francisco 19.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
So let's bounce. Let's bounce. We got Bengals Chiefs. Okay, Bryce, go ahead and hop in, man. He throwing
Yeah,
scores out.
I'll go ahead and throw him in.
He
Yeah,
got the
Bryce, you hop
Niners.
in?
He got the Niners 24-20. I want to hear his opinion. He think Brock Purdy gonna go 8-0. I gotta respectfully disagree, but definitely want to hear his thoughts on that and why he thinks Brock Purdy will go 8-0 today. And then we'll jump to the Bengals game, Who Dey Nation going into Burrowhead. You see, Rick, like you got a rep. I know earlier you had on some Patriots gear, but I'm glad you took it
Yeah,
off because
you
I
know,
mean they're
I
not
don't want to
playing
bring
today.
any unwarranted attention to myself today. Right now,
Yeah,
I'm just a fan of the game. I'm not
for
repping
sure.
anybody today.
For sure. I'm not really repping anybody, but if I was to rep anybody, I mean, you see what's going on here and who it would be. Um,
Bryce, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining, bro. How you doing?
Man, what's going on, man? I ain't really got no dogs in the fight. I know everybody repping today, so I'm just gonna rep, you know what I'm saying, the whole team.
Okay. Okay,
okay.
respect. That's a tough hat.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out 704 shop.
But yeah, man, I think 20. I say 24, 29ers, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's that based on?
Um, I feel like at this point, man, the defense gonna hold it down enough. And I mean, it's not even that I just got so much faith in Brock Purdy, but like, bro, like they have so many weapons offensively coming out the backfield on the edges. I mean, he basically would just have to lose this game to be honest. So like he got to throw two picks.
That's what quarterbacks do. Lose the game. That's what they do.
Hey, but one thing about that dude, man, he is athletic. I like how he move around, how he kind of can feel the pocket. He ain't really shown nothing to me like right now that he just gonna just lose the game. So
Right.
man, I don't know, man. I just think the Niners got it right now. I think it's Joey B year though. I think they want to start getting the young quarterbacks. They want to start building up that him versus Patrick Mahomes kind of rivalry. They want that Peyton Tom kind of rivalry. They want the Brady and all that. So I think he's really gonna come back and win this one this year. And you know the Bengals. I never thought I'd say it, but sounds like they're gonna win the Super Bowl, man. So,
Yeah, this is year. I do agree with you on that one. This is their year. I mean, their defense. I think they're holding like opponents in the playoffs to like 15 points or
We
something
about to
like
go
that.
on.
Something
We about to
crazy.
go on Burrowhead.
be real.
We about to go on Burrowhead.
Right now, the Bengals are the most balanced team when it comes to special teams, defense, and offense, running game, and then when you want to break it down when it comes to stopping the run, stopping the pass, running the ball, and passing the ball. Like they're the most, even when you break down on both sides of the ball,
Right.
the most balanced team, and that's what it takes right now.
I don't know, man. I think the 49ers might be the most balanced team, though. They may be the most balanced team,
Listen,
in my opinion.
listen. I'm gonna be real with you. The 49ers, although they are one of the four best teams, I do feel like we got the four best teams playing this weekend. The
I do too.
49ers should not have won last weekend. And that falls squarely on Dak Prescott that the Cowboys are not playing today. Cowboys Nation, that would have made for much more of a viral topic if the Cowboys were
Oh
playing today
man,
on Championship Sunday.
yeah, that would
I
have been a
wanted to
nice
see the
matchup.
Cowboys in it. But I'm telling you, there's no way the 49ers should have beat the Cowboys last weekend. That falls solely on Dak Prescott. Those two interceptions cost him the game. And
Well,
literally, we could talk about the 49ers defense, we can talk about whatever, but other than those two interceptions, I saw the 49ers secondary really look very suspect. I saw them look very suspect, and I'm gonna tell you what, in my Jeezy voice, I tell you what, the Eagles, the Eagles are gonna carve them boys up in the middle of the field today. They're gonna carve them up.
I think so
AJ
too.
Brown, AJ Brown ain't nothing to play with. You know what I'm saying? They got a Heisman Trophy winning receiver who ain't nothing to play with in Devontae Smith. So I'm telling you right now, the way the 49ers play defense, they leave the middle of the field open. They bring a lot of pressure. AJ Brown is gonna come right in behind that pressure, and it's gonna be a long day for the 49ers.
The only reason why I feel like they've been leaving the middle of the field open, bro, is because of who they've been playing. Like, I feel like their defensive scheme has kind of left certain things open because they know, all right, we can leave the field open for Dak because if we give him this look, he's not even going to look right here. It's real.
That,
So you don't think they're gonna feel the same way about Jalen Hurts?
Not necessarily. I feel like he's playing better ball than Dak
well,
right now. He has like different type of weapons. I think that they gonna start flushing him to one side.
they got to contain. They got to contain with him. He can run.
He can run, but he's hurt. So
Thing, bro, if you got Fred chasing the sideline to sideline, he's not gonna want to do that all game, bro. And
nah,
they gonna flush him out of the pocket. They gonna get him they gonna get him off that platform. He's not gonna be able to really throw from a certain point. So, like I said, I don't think they're just gonna kill him. But I mean, unless the Eagles come out, if the Eagles rush for 130, 120 yards, they'll win the game because they can control the game. But other than that, I just don't see it happening for the Eagles, man. I feel like they pretty much played straight up. They about to tell you what they're gonna do. Like we
for sure.
these two, and this is what it is.
So okay, Rick, I want to hear from you. Who's the key player on the Eagles defense that is the X factor and potentially changing what we see today in terms of that outcome with the Eagles and the 49ers?
I don't think it really boils down to one player. I think the defensive line is really going to dictate the game. The more
Right.
pressure they can put on Brock Purdy, the better it is for the outsides like Darius Slade at corner. You know, you put
Yeah,
pressure on Brock, he bound to throw an interception or two, right? He's been squeaky clean for these past 7 weeks, right? And so I think if the defensive line puts pressure on him and get him to make some ill-advised throws, then I definitely think the defensive line is the X factor in the game. That's just me.
for sure.
Killer Hassan Reddick, former Panther, but we ain't gonna,
I think Brandon Graham is the X factor. I agree with you. You said the whole defense, but for me specifically, Brandon Graham, I think if he's able to be physical, he's able to get to the quarterback, whether it's strip sacks or just straight up pressure. I think if he's able to do that, then again it puts Darius Slay, other players in the secondary in a position where they can make plays, and it opens it up where they can really take advantage of this rookie and the limited in-game experience that he has. I mean, for me, that's the big thing. You're a rookie. You only got so much in-game experience when it comes to the NFL. You've only seen so many schemes in real time. You can watch all the film you want. You can practice all you want, but you've only seen so many schemes in real time. And I think the Eagles defense is going to have to bring pressure. They're going to have to bring it from different directions. They're going to have to line up different. And they're gonna have to get real physical with this 49ers team. But
that's why I feel like his safety blanket is gonna come into play. Watch George Kittle have a big game today, because they might have outside kind of locked down just at the third. Like they might be able to chase McCaffrey and Debo, but I think George Kittle might have a big game today for real.
yeah, I don't. I mean, that's hard to argue, right? It's George Kittle, so it's not that often that he don't have a good
Nah,
game. So
I'm
that's
not. I'm not. I'm not concerned about the 49ers passing. Like I don't. The biggest thing for the Eagles is that they really gonna have to stop that rushing attack because the rushing is going to open up the passing, right? So if they can
right.
stop McCaffrey, Debo Samuels with the end arounds and such, I think the Eagles will be totally fine. They'll be totally fine. They cannot allow them to get off on the ground. They cannot allow it.
And like I said, I think this was before you joined, Bryce. I don't think the game is going to be as close as we think it is. I think the Eagles are going to come out, and I think they're going to dominate from the snap. This is another thing too. People don't realize who maybe don't play sports. Like that home field advantage is 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 big. Their home field advantage is big. So it's not like we playing in the Bay and you got people getting hyphy on the sidelines, dancing. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be playing in Philly. It's going to be cold, and the Philly fans are nothing to play with. You know
Yo,
what I'm
T,
saying?
let's bring in Otto Rocket. He it appears that he's a Niners fan. So I'd like to hear from the Niners
No,
fan.
he's
He
not a
feels
Niners
about the game.
fan. He's a Cowboys fan.
He's a Cowboys
He's a
fan.
Cowboys fan. You can bring him. We can
Stop
bring
it.
him
Okay,
in
yeah,
for
let's bring him
sure.
on, man.
We can bring him
Hey,
in.
Bryce, we're gonna drop you off, Bryce, but we'll bring you back in later.
I'll holler at y'all boys later, man.
All right,
All
man.
right,
Thank
bro.
you.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, he a Cowboys fan though, bro.
Oh,
He, you know,
I just invited him.
I
I just
don't think
invited him.
he, I don't think he too salty about that loss last week.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Let's see if he accept the invite. I don't know if he want that smoke.
he probably don't. He probably don't. In the
Yeah.
interim, though, man, while we waiting on him, we can bounce back to that. Let's go ahead and hit this Bengals Chiefs, bro.
Okay.
So Pat Mahomes injury. I've had ankle injuries. You've had ankle injuries. How much do you think that's going to impact his gameplay today?
A lot, a lot. But I will say that Patrick Mahomes from the pocket. I mean, this season alone, he's completed over 70% of his passes from the pocket. 34 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So let's be real. Patrick Mahomes is, in my opinion, a pocket quarterback, but he makes fantastic plays outside of the pocket as well. That's what makes him a very dynamic. But when you talk about planting and driving off that back foot on that ankle, quarterback and footwork is very important, right? And so
Right.
if you can't drive with that back foot, and that ankle ain't stiff or tender, like if it's stiff and tender, he's gonna have a hard time driving the ball down the field. So he's gonna
For
have to
sure.
definitely rely on his safety blankets, like not George Kittle. I'm sorry, Travis Kelsey,
Isaiah Pacheco.
Juju, like just those quick dink and dump routes is going to be beneficial for him today because I don't think he's going to be able to really drive the ball down the field. But I still have the Chiefs losing to the Bengals, but I do think that Patrick Mahomes will be fine as long as the ankle is not stiff and he's able to move around just enough to escape pressure.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be hard for him to be mobile, simply because like again, I've hurt my ankle before and it's fine to keep playing on in that moment. You got the adrenaline flowing, you feel good. But once you go home, it swells up, you get off of it and you really got to deal with that pain. It's different. Now he's practiced all week. I'm sure they got different treatments in the NFL that you can be ready in a week if need be. But he won't be the Patrick Mahomes making one leg throws and doing the things we've seen him do in the past. Um, I think the big thing will be whether or not McCole Hartman can play because as much as we like to feel like the Chiefs have a lot of weapons, they've been kind of short on weapons here lately.
Mm-hmm.
Marquez Valdez Scantling has a drops problem, can't catch the ball. If he
Right.
couldn't catch a cold during COVID season, and let's just be real about that. So he's limited on weapons, and he's his
Mm-hmm.
own weapon. You know what I'm saying? If he can't run the ball, he's not gonna be able to make plays like he normally is. So I don't think he's gonna be mobile. I don't think he's gonna be able to run. He's gonna need Isaiah Pacheco to have a big game. He's gonna need his favorite guy, and Travis Kelsey to have a big game in order for them to win. So I think they got an uphill battle again. My opinion is going to be biased a little bit, but I do think the key to the Chiefs winning the game, if there was ever a chance for them to win the game, is going to come down to how their defense plays against the Bengals offense. How
Mm-hmm.
often are they able to force the Bengals to kick a field goal instead of getting a touchdown? I don't think it's going to be often. But if they're able to do that, they got a chance to win this game. And I think the thing you mentioned it earlier that a lot of people aren't recognizing and haven't because they probably haven't watched a lot this season. The Bengals defense is for real. So I don't know if you remember before the season, I told you
Absolutely.
there was a kid coming out of Nebraska. I told you he was going to make some noise on his defense and be a big time player for the Bengals. And he's done just that in the secondary. um, I feel like the Bengals defense is going to show up. They're going to make it hard for Patrick Mahomes. I'm losing my train of thought. They'll make it hard for him, and I think they got to pressure early, a lot of blitzes, really disguise the coverage, and the guys in the secondary are going to have to step up. Eli Apple is the X factor. I hate to say that. Fuck. Fuck.
Hey,
Eli Apple is
hey,
the X
hey!
factor. And I already know because he
Don't
been
go,
doing the
man!
most.
Don't go, man!
He been doing the most talking. But even with all that being said, I think he gonna show up today. I think he been
Absolutely.
hearing all the noise. Like it or not, he had a good game last week. He played a good game. He made some crucial stops, some crucial pass breakups. No interceptions, but hey, that's tough to do. Crucial pass breakups when it came down to it. So I think Eli Apple is going to have a big game. I think Patrick is going to target him a lot, and I think he's going to get at least one interception today.
Okay. We got our guy, Best Buy in the comments saying you have to test that ankle. We kind of touched
For
on that
sure.
before you hopped on, but Patrick Mahomes, like a lot of people don't understand, he is a pocket quarterback. But we all know as a playing the quarterback position, mechanics are important. Like your base is important, right? And so I think his ankle injury is on that right leg, right? So when you go to plant and draw the ball as a right-handed quarterback, use that back leg. So if that ankle's stiff, if it's tight and it's still tender, he may make some ill-advised throws. But I definitely think his safety blanket with Travis Kelsey and team will definitely benefit him. But dropping off that back leg may not be working his benefit today. It may not. We'll see.
Okay. So I mean we done talked about all the keys. What's your prediction?
Man, I'm gonna have to go 28-24 Bengals.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, 28-24.
Yeah, I don't think that's bad at all. I'm gonna go. I got the game going to overtime. I think it's gonna go to
Mm,
overtime. All of these three games that the Bengals have kind of swept through the Chiefs, smacked them up and been by a field goal. I don't think this one's gonna be any different. I got the Bengals winning 27-24.
okay. I don't think it's gonna go into overtime, but I can agree with the score. The score
Yeah.
so
Actually,
far.
27-24 has been the score two out of the three times.
Oh wow. Yeah, let's Best
Okay.
Buy. Do you want to join and kind of give your take on the game and what
Yeah,
you
that's
think
my
the
that's
outcome
my
will
guy
be?
Perel. That's my guy Perel. Shout out
Okay,
Perel.
I'm gonna invite you on, man, and let you chop it up with us.
He said, "Well, it come down to who has the ball last." Nah, I think. Listen, I said 27-24. I'm about to change that. I think the Bengals win by a touchdown. I don't even think. I don't even think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be a situation where it come down to who got the ball last. I think again the Bengals gonna come out the same way they did last week against the Buffalo Bills, and
Okay.
it's gonna be smacking time. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what's gonna go down.
So
What's good, P?
What's up, man? I don't know. I mean, because the hype with the Bills, I think, is overstated and overrated, in my opinion.
I agree.
I
I agree
agree.
with you.
I
I
agree.
think that with Andy Reid, who is definitely a mastermind when it comes to creativity on the offensive side. The Chiefs is a defense that will bend but won't break. So we'll see if that defense can potentially bend but not break. But Burrow, is a different type of quarterback than Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is nothing more than a bona fide Cam Newton that they keep trying to hype up. But Cam Newton, but if you look at his style, that's what he is.
Yeah.
So you're trying to say that he's better, but that's all he is just a white Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hey,
Interesting take.
that's a
Interesting
great
take.
take though. That's a great take. I can't argue it. I
Yeah, it
can't
is.
argue it.
It is. It is.
And so I mean, but now Bengals got a lot of young. You got the running back was it Mixon?
Joe Mixon, main Mixon.
Then you got Chase. That's is you really got a 1A. You got a 1A 1B wide receiver load right there.
You got a 1A, 1B, and 1C. You got
Yeah.
Tyler Boyd, you got Higgins, and you got Chase.
Right. So he. That, I mean, I don't. It's
Hey,
I think the
I like. I
key
will
is
say I like that Perel said the Chiefs' defense bends but don't break. We're gonna break them today.
okay. I definitely think the key to the game is really is Joe Mixon, right? I mean, he's been getting some touches, but he's
For
going to have
sure.
a 100-yard rushing game today, right, to free up the passing game. So I definitely think
Yeah.
this will be an interesting game. I mean, the Bengals are holding opponents to 13.5 points per game for the postseason. So I think with Patrick Mahomes with that hurt ankle, man, again they got to battle test and see what it's about. But I mean, I do see some points being put on the board. I do by the Chiefs, but I do think that the Bengals will prevail.
What's that running back's name? He would wear number 10 now for the Chiefs.
Isaiah Pacheco.
I think that he definitely is going to, like you say, that Eli Apple is the X factor. I think that he's the X factor because everybody knows Kelsey's gonna you know what's coming. They literally can tell you, I'm going to pass it to Kelsey. You put 10 people on him, and he's still
Yeah,
gonna throw it to Kelsey. Somehow Kelsey's still gonna catch the ball.
For
absolutely.
sure.
Definitely gonna be one of the X factors there. I think number 10. But I also think that, like you said, Mixon was getting nice touches last week against the Bills. Uh, it'd be quite interesting to see if he's going to get that same, advantage as well as he's going to get an early start. But they couldn't stop him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see how both teams come out on that first drive. I think that's gonna be a factor too, because while I said I think the Bengals are going to dominate, it really depends on that first drive. If they come out that first drive and they drive that ball down the field and get in the end zone, I think it's no hope for the Chiefs. I think it's no hope because they're going to be on their heels the rest of the game.
Well, here's the thing: the Bengals know that they can beat the Chiefs.
For sure.
The Bills, I always felt like they couldn't beat neither one of those teams. So I
Mm.
don't think so. Even if the Chiefs were playing the Bills last week, I think the Bills would have lost.
Mm.
So I think it's just one of those that now the Bengals have the Chiefs number. It's almost like that. Like when you ask like NBA players, like that guy that was always really garbage, but every time they guard anytime somebody guard them, that one player, they always struggled against that one star player, and they always, they're like, I could never score on this person, or always had a hard time. You're looking like this person is trash, but for some reason they always show up towards. They're not saying that Bengals are trash or anything like that, but the Bengals have the Chiefs number. No matter what the Chiefs does, they seem like they always have that number because. Yep. One, Burrow, as young as he is, we know how to read defenses. Josh Allen can't read it, can't break it down, not one bit. So it's really going to be a chess match between the two quarterbacks.
For sure.
And I think it's going to be who comes down with the ball last.
Yeah. 24-28. That's what I got. Bengals.
Yeah. I'm gonna change it to 30-20. I wanted to go 50-0, but hey, I said let me be
you gotta be rational.
Here.
You gotta be practical.
Let me be practical here. So I'm gonna go 30-20.
Okay.
I changed it.
Absolutely not.
I changed it.
Absolutely not.
No overtime. We're gonna go ahead and drive down the field on this first drive. I think that's this is a weird thing too, but I think sometimes like when a team makes a decision between whether or not they receive the ball first or they kick it off, the Chiefs, in order for the Chiefs to win this game, they need to give the Bengals the ball first and they need to stop them on the first drive. That's how you take the momentum. You take the wind out of the Bengals. They've been doing a lot of talking about Burrowhead and what they're gonna do. They 3-0 against y'all, right? They done came into your house and beat y'all to go to the Super Bowl. They done beat y'all in overtime at their crib. They done beat y'all at y'all crib. So listen, if I'm Andy Reid and I'm Eric Bieniemy and whoever else on their coaching staff, I'm giving the Bengals the ball first, and I'm gonna stop them and make them punt the ball, and I'm gonna go down and score a touchdown and show that Patrick Mahomes ain't hurt, and show that he has that same magic he always has. If
Patrick
they
Mahomes
do that,
is hurt, man. He's hurt.
But if they are able to do that, they got a chance to win this football game.
Well, I'll tell you this. Go ahead, Pearl. My bad. Go ahead.
Do you think they're going straight down the field, or you think they're gonna, try to just have like a sustained 7 or 8, play drive, or you think they're gonna try to go for a statement throw and try to get a big play touchdown right away?
The Bengals or the Chiefs? I think the Chiefs.
Piggybacking on, if they stop the Bengals on their first drive and then go down and show like, hey, I'm good. Do you think it's gonna be one big time play that they're gonna try to make an example, or do you think that that's
a good question?
10 play drive for them.
I don't think they're gonna have. I don't think Patrick Mahomes is healthy enough and gonna have enough time in the pocket to really drop down and get a receiver's time to make that big play. Because the defensive line of the Bengals is right now, the way they've been playing the last couple weeks of the season, top 5 in the NFL. So with him being hurt and not being able to run, he's not gonna have the type of time to just drop down and just. I mean, because Travis Kelce not gonna be the one to do that. It's gonna have to be no hands Valdez Scantling, or it's gonna have to be Juju Smith-Schuster. Really, see, this is the key too. Like I said, we don't know. McCole Hardman hasn't been playing for a few weeks. He's been on the injury report. He questionable today. Who is their deep threat if McCole Hardman don't play?
I don't know. They got so many people that can stretch the field, though.
They don't got. I mean, Marquez Valdez Scantling has the speed, but he don't got the hands.
Yeah.
So
I think the Chiefs are going to take what the Bengals give them. So if they can give up the big play, then they're going to do the big play. I mean, these guys, Airbnb. I'm saying Airbnb. I'm not saying Andy Reid is going to compile the right plays to draw them down the field, right? So, right. I mean, at the end of the day, man, it really depends on, again, what the defense gives you. Of course, coaches coming to the game, right, with some set calls that they want to exploit the defense with, right? But it's all situational, right? What is the
Right.
defense giving us, and what can we take, right? They're not going to say, "Oh, we're going to run these 5 plays regardless of what happens." I don't think that
Right.
happens. No.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Pete, because I don't think I did. I think it's going to have to be a methodical drive where they have 7, 8 plays. They take 6, 7 minutes off the clock, and they're able to both run the ball, to make the short throws, to make some longer throws with Travis Kelsey where they throw it down the middle of the field, 20, 25 yards, and take some time off the clock. I think they're going to have to do that to put the Bengals on the defense, not literally on the defense in the sense of football, but on the defense and trying to figure out how do they stop the Chiefs. If they're not able to do this the same way I just talked about the Eagles 49ers game, the game can get ugly because we not like I say, it's time out for the Patrick Mahomes magic, all that. That's not really going to go down today like that. It's not happening. So they're going to have to be able to have drives where they sustain the ball for 5, 6, 7 minutes in order to win this game.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think what they will do is try to have those methodical drives, but also kill 6 to 7 minutes at a time, so
Right.
that will barrel them to really run their offense and make them pass the ball more rather than to try to do a run and pass balance of an offense. So I mean, that would be the only way to try to keep Barrow off the field is
Right.
to really have those long drives, get 4 or 5 yards on first down, and then making sure that they have short yardage downs on second and third down to continue to keep that drive going. So as you said, we won't give it to Andy Reid, so we give it to the offense coordinator with the title. So
There you go. There
We'll
you
give
go.
the enemy. But it'll be interesting to see, man. It's gonna be a challenge like none of the other 3 games prior to this one. The battles between Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. This is gonna be more of a challenge than ever for the Kansas City Chiefs. All the pressure is on. They disrespecting. They calling it Burrowhead, which actually sounds pretty cool if we're gonna be honest. That sounds pretty dope. Burrowhead versus Arrowhead, but it's a lot of it's a lot of disrespect going on. And so all the pressure is on the Chiefs. There's no pressure on the Cincinnati Bengals. They beat this team 3 straight times. And I don't think so, man, because again, a lot of people, if y'all remember this time last week, a lot of people were saying that the Bengals weren't going to beat the Bills. And they were giving you all these reasons why the Bills were going to win. They had a great story with DeMar Hamlin. Again, shout out to his family and him on his recovery. But a lot of the same commentators that are on here, a few of them had the Bengals winning, but a lot of people had the Bills picked to win that game.
I had the Bengals really blowing them out, and it came to fruition early on that it was going to be, it wasn't going to be really a game.
It's going to be ugly.
But I personally think that the pressure is on the Bengals because of all of the actual bulletin board material that they're putting out there. I think that for them to try to get back to the Super Bowl, to revenge that loss that they had last year against the Rams, I just think that pressure is on them to try to get back there. Like, we already know what Mahomes can do. I think it's still now with it. Obviously, we know it's not Fool's Gold with the Bills because they're back in the AFC Championship game. But I think that now this has got to, to show, like, can they do it again at that high level?
For sure, yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see, man. But should we go ahead and put a bow on it, Rick?
Let's go ahead and put a bow on it. Hey, brother, thanks for joining, man. I'm gonna go ahead and drop you on off.
Appreciate you, P.
Absolutely.
All right, bro. Be good. Be blessed.
Hold on 1 second. I'm trying to figure out how to.
Let's see.
Yeah, trying to see how to remove. I'm new to this live stuff, man. There we go.
For
I'm
sure.
new to this live stuff. I'm acting like one of them old heads. How you do this?
Yeah. That's how I feel a lot of the time. But yo, man, listen. Saw a lot of folks join us. Porch Talk Boys, shout out to them. Make sure y'all go follow them for some laughs. See my boy Sid in here. Shout out to Sid. Make sure if y'all in the Wilmington, North Carolina area, y'all go and take his tour of Wilmington and learn some history about that great city. But most importantly, man, we appreciate y'all for joining, for rocking with us in the arena. As always, Dublin, I need that Mercedes-Benz treatment. Comment, like, subscribe, and we'll be back with more from in the arena.
Till next time.
Peace.